Theater of Heels, Chapter 4, Alma Mater.
Hey everyone!
Erica panted as she flashed her cell phone camera a strained smile. She was sitting in the driver's seat of her car. Her cell phone was perched in its holder.
You guys, that was crazy! Not only did I catch footage of an honest-to-goodness superhero battle between the Big Four of the Capes Corps, but I was saved by Sprinter too. And I caught the whole thing on video. I'm still freaking out about the whole thing. My mind is totally blown. Wow! For those of you that are tuning into my live feed right now, don't be afraid to check out the whole thing on my social media accounts. Like I said, it was pretty crazy. I'm so pumped up on adrenaline right now that I'm, all jittery.
Some messages zoomed across her feed. No kidding. I would be too.
That was crazy.
She smiled as she read the messages.
Anyways, I wanted to check in with you guys and let you know that I'm doing okay. I didn't get hurt or anything. I just sort of passed out in all the excitement. She laughed nervously. That doesn't look too promising for my dream of being a superhero, does it?
She paused, looking off to the side as she thought about it. In the awkward pause, more hearts and surprised-faced emojis floated across the screen. One message read, "You're doing great." Erica smiled.
Thanks. You're too kind.
Just then another message read, "You're right. You're probably not made out to be a superhero." Moo. Erica felt the heat flash in her face as she read the troll's comment. She averted her gaze awkwardly and addressed the camera.
So you guys should know that Sprinter was genuinely a nice guy and funny too. He said he even seen my website, so hi Sprinter. You're awesome, and thank you very much. Oh, and Spearhawk even landed next to us with his patented spear teleportation. He was so cool. Anyways, after they made sure I was okay, they then took off after Skull-Lord again. I heard on the news that that bonehead jerk was able to get away.
Several appropriate emojis flashed by. She exhaled slowly.
Honestly, guys, I can't believe any of this has happened, especially on today of all days.
Erica beamed at the camera.
Oh my god. I can't believe that today is finally here. I mean, wow. I know it's not quite as promising as recording a superhero battle, but I promised you guys in my last video that I would post a live feed on my blog just before my final. So, here I am. Ta-da!
She laughed and promptly shivered.
I'm so nervous. Look at me, I'm shaking.
Erica held up a trembling, free hand before the camera.
Anyways, I want to thank everyone for going on this journey with me over the last several years. I can't tell you how much it has meant to me. I never thought I would get to this day. And wham! We're finally here. Wow! It's just so much to take in.
Erica fanned her face.
Is it hot in here? I feel like I'm going to pass out or something. She shook her head. Here, let me just flip on the air conditioner.
Erica reached down and switched on her car's AC to high. She sat up and closed her eyes and exhaled slowly, trying visibly to compose herself.
Sorry, I'm rambling. I know, like I said, I'm pretty nervous. How many times can I say I in 1 minute?
She grimaced and held up her hand.
I'm so going to edit this out in post-production. Okay. As some of you have been following my vlog may already know this, today is the day I have my exit interview. Some of you might be asking, what's an exit interview? I'm so glad you asked. So after years of training at the academy, it all comes down to this final panel interview with not one, but 5 teachers who are all licensed superheroes. They ask me a series of questions, and if I do okay, I'll pass this interview and finally get my superhero license. Erica grabbed her head. I mean, how cool is that?
Her wide eyes stared off into space.
So, all I have to do is perform well during this interview, and I get to realize my greatest dream. She chuckled. No pressure, right?
More hearts flew by, and another message.
It read, You're going to do great today. Your father and I love you very much. We believe in you.
The heat rose in her face.
Thanks, Mom. I love you and Dad, too.
2 more hearts danced across the screen.
Erica turned suddenly. Oh, look!
She snatched her phone from its holder and spun around in her driver's seat, trying to pan her camera around to follow a girl flying past with a backpack on. Before she could catch her on the screen, she accidentally banged her phone against the window's glass, knocking it out of her hand.
Oops! Sorry!
It fell to the baseboards, and she scrambled to pick it up. She hurriedly pointed it out the window, and the shaking camera feed just caught the image of the flying girl as she stuck a perfect 3-point landing between several campus buildings.
Off camera, Erica said, Wow. I wonder if she has a final exam today, too.
She pointed her camera at a large brick sign posted in front of the majestic buildings. Welcome to the Kirby Lee Sidekick Academy, creating tomorrow's heroes today.
Erica smiled at her camera. That's my alma mater.
She rested her cell on her dashboard clip and glanced at her watch.
Well, I don't think I could delay this any further. I guess it's time to suit up.
From her backpack resting in her passenger seat, she pulled out her purple World War I pilot's cap. She smiled at the camera before she put on the cap and goggles. Despite the retro stylized look, the goggles flashed with a series of computer readouts in the interior of her lenses. With some mild difficulty, Erica fastened an elaborate chrome belt with a holster around her waist. Last, she fit her right hand into a bulky armor gauntlet. A gem-like orb glowed to life on the back of her gauntlet's hand and projected a glowing holographic comb with the several images, including a robot, a keyboard, and Erica's car. With her free hand, she tapped the holographic keyboard buttons, making its imagery disappear. She smiled at the camera nervously.
Well, how do I look?
The text blinked again, with a heart floating above.
You look lovely.
She blushed.
Thanks, Mom. Wish me luck,
she told her audience. Whether they did or not, Erica never saw as she tapped the screen on her cell phone, cutting off the feed with a bleep. For a long moment, she stared at the image on the screen. It was that of the cyborg superhero, Sleek. The image caught the superhero running towards the camera. Sleek's human side of her face was determined as her artificial eye gleamed. Her long hair whipped behind her as her cybernetic limbs pumped mid-stride. She looked the very essence of power. Erica smiled.
If today goes well, I might be able to join the Capes Corps too.
Erica fell into a fantasy where she fought some unnamed villain beside the Capes Corps heroes Sleek, Block, and Spearhawk. She, of course, would pull off some elaborate move that would inevitably save the day. Spearhawk would be impressed by her ingenuity and ask her to dinner. Then one thing would lead to another. A slow smile spread across her face. She blinked and shook her head. She tore her gaze from her cell phone's screen.
No time for that now. I have to focus, she told herself.
Erica focused, and as her thought shifted from the pleasant daydream, a block of icy dread chomped down on her heart.
Oh God. Everything rides on today.
Sweat gathered in the palms of her gloves. From her parking space, she glanced back up at the sign. Her breath quickened. Erica tore her attention away from it and focused on her hands. She forced herself to take a deep breath.
Okay, Erica. Okay. You can do this. You've been studying here for years. You're at the top of your class for all your engineering and legal courses.
She grimaced.
Granted, you're less than stellar at your practical studies, but no one can excel at everything, right?
She flipped down her vanity mirror before briefly looking at herself. Erica would have referred to herself as cute, with a question mark. It was hard to feel attractive when so many of your classmates had the bodies of gods, both literal and figurative. She hoped her trench coat would hide the rolls of her curvy body. Another sigh escaped her. It wasn't as if she could just plop down and do a bunch of crunches and push-ups right now. Or can I? She thought. Erica shook her head. No, I definitely can't. She briefly wondered if she had time to throw up. She glanced at the clock on her cell and decided that she did not. Erica sighed. Let's do this. She slung her backpack over her shoulder and exited her car. Erica wasn't the first of her classmates to do their final exam. Her friend Jenny had passed her interview yesterday. Of course, Jenny, unlike her, had superpowers. Jenny could fly, fire energy beams out of her hands, and pick up a car. Unfortunately for Erica, not being a metahuman was a major strike against her in some people's books. She heard rumors that the dean, who was officiating her interview today, was one of those people. She tried to push away the thought, but it wouldn't budge. Her phone beeped again. She glanced down and smiled at the message. I caught the tail end of your vlog today. Mom's already ringing my phone off the hook. SMH. Don't be nervous. You got this. Thanks, Sid, she typed back before pressing send. Then grinning to herself, she typed, and it's, you've got this. He sent her an emoji with rolling its eyes. You still got this. Erica chuckled before she powered down her phone and stuffed it into her backpack. She glanced at the statue of the school's founder, Kirby Lee, or as he was better known as, Captain Starlight. It showed him leaping in the air with his cape flowing behind him. The sculptors had designed the fountain's water to spray out from his raised fist and flow down his cape to simulate the appearance of flight. She paused a moment to touch the base of the statue, hoping some of the legendary hero's power would rub off on her. The heavy concrete building of the testing center loomed before her. The statue didn't send any surges of energy into her being, but the testing center did succeed at filling her chest with even more terror. Perhaps that sensation did grant her powers. She felt like now she had the power to throw up at will, so that was something. Swallowing back a wave of bile, Erica proceeded forward. She pushed open the heavy metal door and headed towards the elevator. On the ride up, her mind raced. You can do this, Erica. You've got this. You've earned this. I mean, how many other people have accomplished what you have? I mean, graduate high school at 11 and earn not one but 3 PhDs by 17? Most people don't even have one PhD, and those that do take way longer than you to get it. You're a freaking prodigy. They should be glad to have you. They're lucky that you're so interested in being a superhero. Her smile faltered as the door pinged open. But do they really care about what I've accomplished if I don't have superpowers? A fresh wave of nausea rocked her stomach, and she had to fight back her newfound power. Her gaze darted around for another bathroom. Calm down, Erica, she told herself. That can't be everything they look at. You don't need to worry. You can do this. As Erica walked down the hallway, her mood kept seesawing between stark terror and slippery reassurance. She passed other students uniquely killing time as they waited for their own test. A girl lounged on the floor, studying her Intro to Interdimensional Cultures textbooks. She gestured idly with her hand, telekinetically juggling a variety of objects. Nearby, a skinny guy played an exciting game of hacky-sack with 7 of his clones. She turned down a lone hallway and reached the appointed classroom's door and knocked. Enter! A voice boomed from inside the room. Erica gulped audibly and opened the door. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Theater of Heels. If you'd like to read the entire story, Theater of Heels, feel free to check it out on Amazon.com or other fine book retailers. Also, if you're interested in other stories by Christopher Chansey, check out his website at christopherchansey.com. If you'd like to give Christopher Chansey some support, please check out the website patreon.com/Christopher Chansey. Until next time, keep your mask on tight and your capes on right.